Welcome back, everyone, to 2190 Live. I'm Zaina Allen, and we are here with WeezyWTF.
Hi.
How are you doing, first of all, today? What's going on? How are you
I'm
feeling?
feeling a little sick, but better than look at your face. You look great. It looks like I should be interviewing you.
Thank you. Well, I mean, we both are interviewers, so it's kind of just like it's gonna be a natural thing anyway.
Because normally when I'm
So it's all
showing up to
good.
work, I look like shit. But when I'm the one being interviewed, I'm like, ooh, let me be the guest star, you know?
I feel that. I feel that. I feel that. Like I said, I usually like am without makeup, but I was just like, let me get a. I wanted to get a little cute for you.
Thank you,
Get a little
boo.
cute. But Weezy, we're here today because you are teaming up with Adidas Originals to have this new content series that spotlights cultural disruptors, and it's called Interlace. So first things first, I do just want to ask, like, let's talk about it. What is your passion behind it? What do you plan to give to the world with Interlace?
What do I plan to give to the world? That's a hard question. I mean, I'm not really a brandy advertisement type of person. So I would say when Adidas wanted to collab with me, I was super excited because it felt like something authentic. And the series that we did was very much giving entrepreneurship and, how you got it out the mud. And to me, it would be, I don't know, this is a really hard question. What do I plan to give? Because it's not my thing to give. So maybe if it was worded another way, I could answer it better.
Well, I mean, if you're the one hosting it, pretty much you're working with Adidas. What do you want people to get from the conversations that you have with these people?
Um, I guess, yeah. If what would I want people to get from the conversations? I would want them to understand that all of my answers about my entrepreneurship aren't pretty, and that's really what it looks like. I don't know a rich person that's black that grew up with it, that didn't have to struggle, that didn't get dirt on their face. You know what I mean? So I think that it's something to be said when you can listen to stories from people that are in a place where you may want to be, but at the same time may reflect on where you are right now. Because sometimes we always see the Instagram highlight reel and it's like, damn, well, you don't see the overdraft that I had to get, to be able to be where I am today. So the struggles aren't always highlighted. And I think that was the cool part of the series.
I love that. I love that. And I know you said that, when Adidas reached out to you, you thought it was pretty dope. But like outside of that, outside of having the conversations with these people, about their struggles and about the real stuff that happens behind the scenes, what else made you really want to be involved in this?
Um, I wear Adidas, so to me that was what was really cool, and I also like that Adidas was doing like a content series. Um, so I am one of the people featured on there. It's a series of interviews and talking amongst my peers in the industry, so to speak. But what made me really want to do it is, again, it felt authentic because normally when brands reach out to me to collab, it's very much like, I love Three Stripes. I hope you do too. And
Hmm.
I'm not good with that. I don't really need to check that bad to perform. So when I felt like it was something that was in my lane, I was into it.
I love that. I love that. Now, in this new content series, Interlaced, people are talking about moments that transformed their lives and empowered them to honor their authentic selves. So I want to know if there was any moments in your life that transformed your life.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I talked about recently, I feel like maybe a lot of my story has been told. I know I mention Charlemagne every chance I get because I really believe he was a pivotal moment for my podcast. I'll talk about my mom sometimes, right? Thank God, blah, blah, blah. But I think most recently, something that let me know I was on the right track was when we got offered very large funding in order to raise prices, become a different type of production house, and kind of cut out the smaller podcaster for my studios. And in declining that, I knew that I was definitely living in my authentic truth. I definitely have been in places in my life where I wanted to take, you know, money for not the best things, but for me, I've seen how I've changed people's lives, how I've helped other content creators, and it just, yeah, partnership is great, collaboration is great, but at the same time, it's not worth it if it's going to completely ruin the premise and my mission of what I'm doing.
Right, right. And then, just as a content creator and having your own like company that pushes out content and creates content. I want to know about your experiences with pushing the envelope. You know, that you have in your life, like talked about things that are pretty much taboo,
Mhm.
especially with horrible decisions and any other piece of content that you have had out. You know, I want to know what have your experiences been like. Have you obviously you have seen a little bit of pushback when it comes to these types of conversations, but what keeps you going with this?
I mean, I'll be honest with you. In the beginning, there were a lot of times where I wanted to quit. You know, I think that most of my pushback, one, the content's sex, and two, we're black. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's easy to see a blonde white girl talking about sex and getting mad money from Spotify, or whether it be a Netflix show or whatever it might be. So I feel like we had 10 times the challenge, you know? And I think what honestly has kept me going is just the fans. Like, there's so many days where whether it could be a guy I met that feels like what I do is too racy. And I'm like, well, I don't need to do this anymore, right? I'll just go back to being a sales engineer. And I'll walk into Trader Joe's and someone tells me I changed their life. When I see that there's real life interaction with people, because being behind this mic doesn't feel real, right? Like, I don't realize that people will hear this. That's also what makes me good at my job. I completely forget that I'm talking to anybody but who I'm looking at. And so it's been easy to, you know, be my authentic self in that way. But yeah, it's when I meet people in the real world. It reminds me that I'm making content that is enriching. You know, I'm a person that consumes content, but for some reason, no matter how many millions of clicks, I never think someone's listening to me. It's so weird. If I did, I would stop talking so much shit.
I feel like a lot of people are like that though. Like they don't ever really realize the magnitude of which the amount of people that are like watching them. And I
Krishan
think that's
Rock is
also
one of
pretty
them. She
cool.
got to stop. Mine ain't that bad. But like, that's how I be
Nah,
feeling.
you're good. You're good. You're good. Um, but you know, I think that a lot of people just don't realize it, especially when they're just in front of this one thing, like me in front of the computer or you in front of your mic. You're really just talking to that one thing. You know, there's not
Yeah.
really you don't see the thousands of people that are watching you. So it's kind of like I think that also makes you authentic. Some people, you know, they get in their head and they're like, yeah, there's probably a million people
I mean,
watching
but
me
you know,
right
that is
now.
a
But
good thing at the same time, right? Like, I was just telling you when I logged on that I wasn't feeling good or I didn't put makeup on. And, you know, I'll look at this weeks from now and be like, oh my God, why didn't I just wear lipstick? But I think at the end of the day, it's kind of what's made me popular in a way. You know what I mean? Like, I do be showing up to, well, I took my braids out on an episode before. You know what I'm saying? I don't really feel like at the end of the day that I'm actually making something that is for sale. And that is really when you get to be authentic. People ask me a lot of times, you know, what's my best podcasting advice? And I'm like, I hate it because it's such a cliche thing to say, but like, if you really do it for the money in the beginning, you're not going to get nowhere because you're so focused about getting a check or ad dollars that you can't even become the product that people want. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
most good podcasters that aren't celebrities, because celebrities, we click on them because they're who they are, right? Most good podcasters at the end of the day aren't thinking about the end user. You know what I mean? They're literally making this content with their friends or by themselves for their own pleasure. So,
And I think that's why people have always like gravitated to your podcast and the type of content that you put out because it's just Wheezy, you know, and it's always you've always been very just authentic with who you are. And I do want to ask, you know, outside of the podcast and outside of the content that you put out in the world for millions of people to listen to and to watch, how do you honor your authentic self? Like what does Wheezy do to honor herself?
to honor my authentic self, this is a ghetto answer, but I recently was talking to a guy that I've been dating, and we were talking about weddings. And, you know, now that we're both making money, like, what would we want? And I was like, yo, like, I want Popeyes and caviar. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really like that type of nigga. Just at the end of the day, like, I'm getting money, but I'm still me. You know what I mean? Like, I told my friends recently I wanted to do my birthday party at the Cheesecake Factory. Like, I just I don't know. Like, I feel like remaining my authentic self is like doing things that I would have done 10 years ago. Like, you know what I mean? Sometimes I have to check myself a little bit. And it's those things. It's like, I don't want to ever act like I'm too good for why people loved me in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Now my Prada bags are real, but like, that's really the only difference.
And I love that too because you know we see that when it comes to certain public figures who keep it real with themselves, like who don't let money or acknowledgement or people knowing them change exactly who they are. Like we all gravitate to Cardi B, for example, because she still be cracking crab legs in the crib. You know what I'm saying? Like, and she still keeps it real with herself, not even just to us, but to herself. So I think that's one reason why people gravitate to people like you and Cardi and other people who just don't let money or fame or having the world know who they are get to their head. You know. And I also want to ask, going back to just conversations about sex. I want to ask you one question just to see if has there ever been like a time in your life where you were working on horrible decisions or having just conversations with people where your mindset or just you kind of had to you looked at something a little bit differently when it comes to your sex advocacy or sex work, that something shifted, you were like, oh, I never thought of it that way, or maybe I should advocate for this a little bit more.
I recently I have a TV show on Fuse. It's called Sex Sells, and during the pandemic, I came up with it mainly because my attitude towards sex started to shift it, right? So we were in the middle of a tour when the pandemic happened, and I remember feeling like, oh my God, I'm gonna be broke as hell. Like I've been flexing all this shit on Instagram, and now it's gonna be gone. Like I really was like, life is over, right? And at the end of the day, I realized like I have been making money from sex, you know what I mean, by selling the content to the masses and making money from sex without having it. And it really made me want to delve into the business of sex. And while exploring that part of my career and production and making this TV show, I realized how lucrative all of these businesses are. I mean, I interviewed dominatrixes about their marketing plans and their overhead and how they file as an LLC or an S corp. Like, I think that what shifted for me was a lot of the time in the beginning, I felt like people were looking at me like sex podcast girl, ho. You know what I mean? And after a while, I realized like, no, I am a businesswoman. I am an entrepreneur, right? I mean, shit. Right after that, I built my studio too, and now I'm on to my second location, which is in LA. Like, I think that point in time, the pandemic really bred a few people, right? You had one, the go-getter that suddenly started an Amazon store or a hairline or came up with some product. Two, the person that just decided they were going off the deep end and needed to explore the world. Or three, someone who's lazy and scared. And it's like, I came out of that better.
I love that. I love to see, well, especially when it comes to the pandemic or just stories about people who, take their situations and their circumstances and altering it to fit to fit them, fit the things that they want to do, and it helps better them at the end of the day anyway. I mean, for you, you were able to get deeper into the business of sex, which I think those are conversations that people don't necessarily have either. What was kind of the feedback that you got from sex sales?
It's interesting because a lot of the things that I was scared of was like, oh, people are going to just say I made horrible decisions, a TV show. But in reality, I don't interview people about their sex lives on Sex Sells. When you click on your TV guide and you see that, you're probably like, oh my God, it's porn on cable, but it's not. It's very high level conversations to entrepreneurs about the business of whatever they have, right? Whether it be a sex toy company, a brick and mortar sex store, someone that sells feet pics, someone that takes the feet pics, just all of it. And I think, actually, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. What was your initial question? Oops.
The feedback that you got
Oh,
from
the
sex
feedback,
sales when it
yeah.
comes to
I think the best feedback I've received, because it's never from your kinfolk, you know what I'm saying? Like, people that love horrible decisions ain't the ones that are going to be like, this is amazing, like, or this is eye-opening, because they already get it. But I have definitely had a lot of people online say that they never had as much respect for sex workers until that show. So that really warmed my heart. One of my favorite comments I've received was from season 2 about Lena the Plug. A lot of people know her as Adam 22's girlfriend. They have a show called Plug Talk, but I was in her content home, which is worth 7 figures. And it's literally where she just shoots porn. And after I left her other 7-figure home where she had her husband and kid. And not only does she shoot content in this house, she also rents it to other content creators that are sex workers. And, was in there showing me the sex toys, in there talking about how much she spent on interior design. And I was like, holy shit, all of this to squirt? You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, there's so much behind the content we're seeing. You know what I mean? everything has a purpose sometimes. It's not just thrown together, but we act like sex work is the easiest thing you could do because all you got to do is lay on your back. But at the end of the day, it is just as difficult as the girl who's making a beauty product Instagram. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that you were able to shine a light on that. And I hope that people, and I'm glad that people were able to see like that it's much deeper than just clicking on Pornhub and watching your favorite category. There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
But Weezy, I know that the new year just started, and a lot of people don't really care much about New Year's resolutions and things like that. I'm personally not a New Year's resolution person, but I believe that this can be a start of a new season, right? Like this can be a start of a new chapter of your life. So with that thought, what does this next chapter, whether it's 2023 or 2023 and on, what does this next chapter look like for you?
For me, this next chapter in my life is more so about being behind the scenes more. This year, I'll be creating so much content for stuff you may see on billboards that no one has an idea that my name is on. And I'm kind of enjoying that. I'm not saying I'm over people knowing me or who I am, but I think I'm just over what they know me for. I've been working in production for a little over 2 years now, and I've really got some good shit under my belt. So I'm really excited to create things for the world other than people who can't consume my content, right? Like I definitely have everyone's boyfriend come up to me like, yo, my girl loves your show, but maybe they don't fuck with a Horrible Decisions or a Sex Sells. So yeah, I'm going to be creating a lot of content that you'll see soon. I wish I could talk about it, but a lot of people know I'm working with Kenya Barris on his Audible deal. So yeah, all of that cool stuff. Being in the Hollywood world is super cool. And other than that, I don't know. For you brought up New Year's, I'm trying to think. Do I have a resolution? I'm gonna be real with you. I've been on my New Year, New Me since like October. So I'm down on the weight. I'm in the gym 5 times a week. But truth be told, it's because I heard
Yeah.
my ex-boyfriend called me fat, and that put the battery in my back.
Well, whatever motivation it is,
I'm
like
that type of person that needs to be motivated by like very
by anger,
hard.
hatred, like
Oh yeah, like you know what I mean. Some people don't like when they get dirt on them, but dirt is fertilizer. Like I'm coming up.
yeah,
I don't like to be
yeah. I like
pacified.
that
Say
too.
something mean to me, Xana.
I can't. I really can't.
Oh come on.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to have let you down. I really just can't. um, but yeah, I mean, honestly, Weezy, I'm just really excited to see what this next chapter does have for you. I'm excited to see the type of production that you come out with. I've been in production as well for a few years, and I do enjoy the back end of things as well. So, from one production person to the other, like I'm excited to see like
Thank
what
you.
that comes out as, and I know that feeling even when you're behind the scenes and nobody knows, like nobody knows who
For
else is
real,
associated
man.
with
And
you. So
it's funny because
I get
I
that.
think it I think it takes you to be in front of the camera to like you got the accolades and now you don't care. Because a lot of my friends that are directors and writers and do screenplays, like they do feel like sometimes their work is unseen. But now that I've had some limelight, I'm like, oh, I'm good.
I'm good. I'll back off. I'm good.
Mhm.
But yes, thank you so much, Weezy, for your time. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Same, Zaina. Thank you so much for having me.